I am the celebrating consciousness of God. I am the affirmative, abundant consciousness of God. I am the health consciousness of God. Not trying to get well, but being the health that I am in action. I love it. You remember somebody asked me to share this again because they loved it so much. Something I found called a woman's job. Said a man is like a fine wine. He starts out raw as grapes, and it's a woman's job to stomp on him, keep him in the dark until he matures into something she'd like to have dinner with. Okay. How about an idea the same way? How about a self-definition that could reach that level? How about allowing yourself to start where you are right now and grow and mature spiritually? And to know, as Dr. Ernest Holmes used to teach us so clearly, say it with me, the more I know, there's more to know. Now, everybody say, I want to be healed and not cured. Dr. Kennedy Schultz used to say, to cure something, you take a piece of meat, inject it with a foreign substance into it, and then hang it in the dark for a long, long time. That's how you cure something. Okay. The way you heal something is you get clarity involved in your definition of it, and you let the clarity be your way. There's a wonderful beautiful short lesson within the teaching of the Cherokee. One evening, an old Cherokee told his grandson about a battle that goes on inside of people. He said, my son, the battle is between the two wolves inside of you. One is evil. It is angry, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, which wolf wins? And the old Cherokee looked at his grandson and replied, the one you feed. The one you feed. What are you feeding this morning? You looking at the headlines and feeding the fear that the country's going through? Are you reading the headlines and feeding doubt and uncertainty? Are you feeding confusion and hate and all the nonsense that's going on? Or are you feeding what? How many have been around long enough? We got an economic challenge in our country right now, don't we? Okay, but how many have been around long enough to know that we've been through? I've been through 3 of these since I've been a minister. Okay, and guess what? We always come out the other side doing what? Okay, I don't know if we're wiser, but we do make it up through it. And what? Everybody say, when I know what and who I am, I can move through anything and be unmoved by it. Okay, and that's the truth of you. Why? Because what you are is greater than anything you're moving through unless you get hypnotized by what you're moving through. And yes, you get hypnotized by the nonsense going on around you. Right where you are, you can, if you so choose, claim your good. Everybody say, this morning, I claim my good. Massive good. Massive unexpected good. See, there it is. See, there's the challenge. Dr. Holmes, see, I have all these colleagues been running around. They misquoted Dr. Ernest Holmes, who said, we are open at the top. Now, they have interpreted that religious science is open at the top. It's the only way religious science is open at the top is for clearer understanding within our own teaching. How many, I gave him a doctorate. Okay, Reverend Lacey. Reverend Lacey said this morning, he was pointing out he was in first year class 12 years. And every year it got clearer. And finally, after 12 years, and he had the other classes also. Yeah, I said, look, Lacey, it's time to graduate. Okay. And isn't it wonderful that he has become one of the best teachers in this country, as Reverend Dar has, as so many by Reverend Mary Jo, all of it. I'll tell you what, I am so proud. I was thinking the other day how proud I am of this work here and what we have developed, because without question, we have the finest metaphysical religious science teachers on earth right here in this building, in this property, in this community we call here. So, you know, the challenge is to know that the picture is more important than the frame. The picture is more important than the frame. I was counseling with someone this week, and they were going on and on and on about somebody they care about, that all they do is dream up all the stuff they're going to do, but never get around to doing it. Okay, and I said, and it was upsetting them, and I said, how long have they been that way? And they said, as long as I've known them. I said, then why are you upset? You're acting like you just found it out. Okay. And I said, do you know why they act that way? Why do they act that way? Because they don't know how to act another way. Okay. How many have acted a way that you didn't know how to act another way until you learned how to act another way, and then you act another way and everything changed? You got it? Okay. Everyone say, I am what I think about all day long. If I want something new in my life, I need something new in my mind. And I need to know it's good enough to be true. I need to act like it's good enough to be true. Emma Curtis Hopkins, the great teacher of teachers, was still living when Dr. Holmes wrote his first book, Creative Mind. Mrs. Hopkins, as you know, how many are in the Emma Curtis Hopkins? Isn't she great? Yeah, Cynthia has a great class going with Emma Curtis Hopkins. Young Ernest, he was a young man then. Young Ernest studied with her, and he explored her lessons. He had involved himself in high mysticism, which is one of her greatest and clearest and most wonderful books. She taught on a very personal level when she was teaching, on almost a one-on-one basis, and she did this for years. Undoubtedly, Dr. Holmes heard her repeat over and over and over again one of her favorite affirmations that I'm sure she said to him very clearly in Chicago when he was there studying with her. And here are the words: there is good for you, and you ought to have it. Turn to someone near you and say, there's good for you, and you ought to have it. Our challenge is to honor Emma Curtis Hopkins, Thomas Troard, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Ernest and Fenwick Holmes, all of these great teachers who came our way, and to honor them by knowing that we know that it is not our responsibility to go backwards into complication, but to go forward into clarity, to use the clarity of their launching pad and to move into a higher and higher area of understanding, of being. I think our whole commitment is to do your own thing, to do it your way, to do it as you know how to do it, and then let it get better and better and better. To honor what our great-grandfather Ralph Waldo Emerson said, imitation is suicide. If there were two of anything, there wouldn't be any use for one of them. So honor the fact that you are unique and beautiful and wonderful and clear. Honor the fact that you have a way to express yourself beyond anything you've ever known before, and it's waiting for you to make up your mind to do it. It's waiting for you to make up your mind to be it. It's waiting for you to make up your mind to give from your understanding, to receive from your understanding. On page 8 of Creative Mind, Dr. Ernest Holmes says this: spirit creates through law. The law is always mind in action. Mind cannot act unless intelligence sets it in motion. It is the great universal mind. Man is a center of intelligence, and every time he thinks, he sets into action this mind. Let us then, right now, this morning, understand this and honor it. Let us move forward this morning knowing that the law of motion is doing nothing more than honoring our ability to accept our good. To accept our good. Say with me, my good is good enough to be true. I claim my good. It is rightfully mine by right of consciousness. Dr. Ernest Holmes says on page 270 of the Science of Mind textbook, the centurion for any man as to what is right or wrong for him is not to be found in some other person's judgment. The criteria is, does the thing I wish to do express more life, more happiness, more peace to myself, and at the same time harm no one? If it does, it is right. If it does, it is right. In religious science, we are special and wonderful people. We don't think like the world, unless it's Monday morning. And I think that's our biggest challenge. How many have had that challenge? You come here and hear what we teach on Sunday, and then the world tries to convince you to think like it on Monday. Your challenge is to take what you know is true here and move forward during the week, knowing that you do believe in the goodness of God. You do understand and believe in the presence of God right here and right now. It is not somewhere else. Everybody say, right here and right now. There is good for me. Right here and right now. I believe I ought to have it. Right here and right now. I reject anything unlike the beautiful. I truly believe in the loving presence as me. I present to the world a loving, kindly expression of God. I am grateful for my good, and I give thanks. I am good always, and there is nothing beside God. Listen to that. There is nothing but God. You're moving from it, through it, to it, and it's ready, willing, and able to back up your next idea. It's the mind that created the universe. This morning, astronomers were talking about the fact that they have found 50 billion planets in our galaxy. As Carl Sagan used to say, if 1 billionth of the planets had life on it, if 1 billionth of it had life on it, we'd have billions with life on it. But I don't care about that. I care about the life that's here, the life that's now, the life that's me, and what the life as me is moving through. I choose to do it, what? Higher than the world. I can choose to do that. You can choose to do that. And if you do it, you'll celebrate the choice because it will demonstrate as a beautiful in your life, as massive, unexpected good. And it's good enough to be true, and it's good enough to be you, it's good enough to be now. And dear people, that's the way it is. Namaste. Oh.